Hi, everyone. I'm Keith Mathis with the Mathis Group. We're a premier ATP with the Project Management Institute. Welcome to 7 Minutes to PMP Mastery. Today, we're going to be talking about avoiding the trap, risk versus issue explained. So there is a difference between issues and risk, and that comes out on the test sometimes, and it'll throw us off a little bit. So an issue is a current problem, obstacle, defect, conflict, or event that is already affecting the project. A risk is uncertain. It's an issue. An issue is happening now. So when we look at the two of these, a risk is something that could happen, a risk is happening. So for the PMP exam, issue management's not just fixing problems. It means the project manager needs to do other things other than just fix the problem. So let's kind of give you a list of some things to consider. So a project manager in trying to fix an issue would be identify and confirm the issue, understand the impact, log, track it, determine the best response, collaborate with the right stakeholders, escalate only when necessary, update related project documents, capture lessons learned. So you'll notice that there's a lot of different things the project manager must do with that issue rather than just we're trying to resolve the issue. How is the topic positioned on the test? So PMI test issue management because real project managers have to handle a lot of ambiguity. So the exam will rarely say what's an issue and what's a risk. Instead, it will present you a situation. Some of the most common situations are going to be a vendor misses a delivery, a stakeholder rejects a deliverable, a team member leaves unexpectedly, a known risk occurs, a defect threatens a release, a regulatory problem emerges, a dependency is delayed. The candidate must decide the best next action using PMI logic. And the reason for that is that you're always going to have analysis in there in 99% of those responses. So risk becomes an issue when? So risk is always going to be in the future. If the risk becomes an issue when it occurs. So if the risk happens, now it's going to be tracked as an issue on the issue log. So a risk is no longer hypothetical once it happens. At that point, the project manager should stop treating it as a risk response planning exercise and begin managing it as an issue. So an example with risk, the supplier may deliver equipment late. And then the issue is the supplier has delivered the equipment 2 weeks late. Once the event happens, the project manager should use the issue log, assess impact, determine ownership, activate the appropriate response, but it's tracked as an issue on the issue log. So the issue log is the primary artifact for tracking issues. It typically will include several categories such as issue description, date identified, the owner, the priority, the impact, target solution date, status, escalation path if needed, resolution notes. The exam trap for the issue log is not just documentation after the fact. It's a control tool for visibility, accountability, and follow-up. How do you handle the issue? So analyze before acting unless urgent harm is occurring. And PMI usually expects the project manager to assess the situation before choosing a response. However, if the issue is actively causing harm, violating compliance, endangering safety, or blocking critical delivery, immediate containment may be required. So anyway, they are expecting you, though, to analyze typically before you choose an answer. So look for an answer that's going to have that analysis in there. Escalation is not always the first step. PMI often treats escalation as appropriate only when certain conditions are there. So if the issue exceeds the project manager authority, governance thresholds are crossed, a decision requires sponsor, customer, legal, compliance, or steering committee input, the team cannot resolve the issue at its level, or the issue threatens major business value, all of those are escalation possibilities. Escalating too early, though, may show poor ownership. Escalating too late may show poor governance. And so you want to escalate at the right time, which means you've done some things, not just instantly escalate. So predictive environment. Predictive project issue management tends to be more formal. The project manager will usually record the issue, assess its impact against the baselines, review the risk register and response plans, determine whether a change request is required, follow escalation and change control procedures, communicate through the communication management plan. An example of this would be a design defect is discovered after baseline approval. The project manager analyzes the impact and may submit a change request if scope, schedule, cost, or quality baselines are affected. Agile environment. Issue management is more collaborative and adaptive. The servant leader or the scrum master may remove impediments, bring the issue to the daily stand-up or team discussion. facilitate collaboration, help the product owner reprioritize the backlog, protect the team from unnecessary disruption, use retrospectives to identify root causes. This is going to be more of a team answer, though, if it's an agile type question. So a team cannot complete a sprint goal because the dependency team failed to provide an API. The servant leader works with the dependency team, the product owner, and stakeholders to remove the impediment and adjust the expectation. So you see and pick up and feel the team there. In a hybrid environment, it could be either one of these. And so a hybrid environment, issue management requires both adaptive and formal thinking. A team may use agile delivery methods while still operating under predictive governance. An example would be a software team uses agile sprints, but the overall program has regulatory milestones. If a sprint issue threatens a compliance deadline, the project manager may need to both collaborate with the agile team and escalate to formal governance. Hybrid PMP exam logic would focus on respecting agile team self-organization, but do not ignore enterprise governance, compliance, contracts, or baseline commitments. All of those are going to be part of the constraint that's there with your project as well. Common mistakes and exam traps. So something to watch out for. Confusing risk and issues. Risk is always in the future, issue is always current. Risk can be both positive or negative, threats and opportunities. Issues are always going to be threats. Escalating immediately, we know. Submitting a change request too soon. Solving it alone, deciding you're just going to make the decision. Ignoring agile roles, and you want to make sure you include those people into your decision making, or treating every issue as if it's the same. You're going to have to analyze, and then it's a customized approach to that issue. So here's your exam question that will help you. So a project manager is leading a hybrid project to implement a new customer service platform. The software team is using agile sprints, but the overall project has a fixed regulatory compliance deadline. A known risk in the risk register stated that a third-party identity verification vendor might not complete integration testing on time. The vendor has now informed the team that testing will be delayed by 3 weeks. This delay may prevent the Agile team from completing several high-priority backlog items needed for compliance validation. What should the project manager do first? A, escalate the issue immediately to the project sponsor, request approval to extend the regulatory deadline. B, update the risk register to increase the probability and impact of the vendor delay. C, record the issue, assess the impact with the Agile team and product owner, and collaborate with the relevant stakeholders to determine the best resolution approach. Or D, direct the Agile team to work overtime during the next sprint to recover the lost time. So take a look at this and decide what your answer is, and then we're going to talk to you about all the answers. Okay? So the correct answer is going to be C. The vendor delay was previously a risk, but it has now occurred. Therefore, it must be managed as an issue, not simply monitored as a future uncertainty. The project manager should document the issue, assess the impact, involve the Agile team, product owner, collaborate with the stakeholders to determine the best resolution. This answer reflects PMI's preferred logic. You understand the problem, you involve the right people, you choose the optimal action before escalating or changing commitments. Let's look at the other answers. So if you look at A was escalate immediately to the sponsor and request a deadline extension. That typically is wrong because it's too quick, and so this may eventually be necessary, especially because the deadline is regulatory. However, it is premature at the first action. The project manager has not yet assessed the full impact, explored options, consulted the product owner, or determined whether mitigation, workaround, reprioritization, or vendor negotiation is possible. So PMP logic for this: escalate when thresholds are exceeded or authority is insufficient, but do not escalate before understanding the issue. B, update the risk register to increase probability and impact. This is a trap because the vendor delay is no longer merely a risk. It's happened. And so the project manager should manage it as an issue. The PMP logic for this is when the uncertain event occurs, move from risk monitoring to issue resolution. And then D, direct the Agile team to work overtime. This is not the best answer at all. It assumes a solution before analysis and violates the principles of the Agile servant leadership. It may create quality problems, morale issues, burnout. The Agile team should be involved in evaluating options, but the project manager should not impose overtime immediately. The PMP logic for this is do not jump to a command and control solution, especially in an Agile or hybrid environment. So as we come to the end of this video, I hope it has helped you a little bit as we talk about risk and issues. And so we do PMP exam prep boot camps virtually every other month, and I teach those. I'd love to have you in a class if I can help you. And so if you have other questions or other project management training, then contact me. I'd be glad to talk with you about it and see if we can help you. But I look forward to having you in a boot camp in the future, okay? God bless you. Thank you for being part of the video. Bye now.